Hey, greetings YouTube, this is the Garage Autonomist. I'm currently reading two books right now. Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook by Mark Bray, and We Wanted a Revolution, Black Radical Women, 1965 through 1985, a source book. Now, the latter book is what got me to thinking about the history of black women and feminism, although I would believe that I know it well enough to know that black women's involvement with their liberation on both fronts as black people and as women has started all the way back since 1890 during the days of Ida B. Wells, and of course a little bit earlier than that with Sojourner Truth. And by total coincidence, over the weekend, I came across a video that was posted, or rather reposted, by YouTuber Ally Missandry. Had posted a video titled Feminist, Women of Color, Struggle for Abortion Rights and Against Racist Imperialist Sterilization Programs. It was an excerpt from a documentary titled She's Beautiful When She's Angry, created by Mary Dore. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. And that documentary covers second wave feminism. What makes it a little bit more different from most of the other documentaries I've seen of the second wave, there is a great deal of coverage and interviews coming from women of color who came from that time period. So a lot of what I've seen taking place in this documentary has also been covered a great deal with the book We Wanted a Revolution. If you haven't had a chance, go out and find this book. I'll be leaving links in the low bar for the book, and of course to the Netflix link, because this film is on Netflix and the film can be found on YouTube as well. All right, so that's it. Peace.
Somewhere around 1970, I went to abortion rights rally in San Francisco. And it was a sea of white women, very few women of color. And someone grabbed a bullhorn and asked for the African-American women who were there to gather under a tree. And we decided that we would form a group called Black Sisters United. I was very glad that, somebody called African-American women together and said, maybe we have something to talk about that might be a tiny bit different from what's coming from the stage. And indeed we did.
I was invited up to Harlem to speak at an event around abortion. Remember, in the Black liberation movement, the big debate is abortion is genocide, women should have babies for the revolution. And I remember going up those stairs and my knees were literally knocking because this was a bunch of nationalists and I was really scared. I concentrated a lot about the deaths of black women as a result of illegal abortion and how we should be able to choose when we want to have children. So I managed to survive, some of the attacks. And on my way out, twice it happened. One woman said to me, whispered to me, "Thank God you speak up. Thank God you're speaking up." And another, as I was approaching the door, said, "Right on. Right on."
Dear brothers, poor black women decide for themselves whether to have a baby or not have a baby. Black women are being asked by militant black brothers not to practice birth control because it's a form of whiteys committing genocide on black people. Well, true enough. But black women in the United States have to fight back out of our own experience of oppression, and having too many babies stops us from teaching them the truth, from supporting our children, and from stopping the brainwashing, as you say, and fighting black men who still want to use and exploit us.
It was very difficult for middle-class white women to have any conception about what was going on in communities of color. And those differences could have been in conversation with each other, but if there isn't even an acknowledgement that there's differences in experience and perspective, and the voice of one is used as the voice of all, then you have a problem.
That was during a period when black women did not particularly identify with the women's movement. Mrs. Norton, why are you a black woman involved in women's liberation?
I'm involved in the struggle for women's rights because I believe women are disadvantaged. Black women are no less than white women, indeed black women far more than white women. Women who have spent their lives working in other women's kitchens have a different kind of handicap than women who have been oppressed for their sex in other ways.
We were grappling with that idea of how do you integrate race, class, and gender. That's the reason why we had some reservations about the term feminism, because feminism just seemed to be dealing with the female aspect of your being.
It's important to keep in mind that black women are organized in their own organizations, in their own version of black women's liberation.
Black Sisters United was essentially a consciousness-raising group, and it was in that group the very first conversations I had ever had about differences in sexual orientation. It was the first group I was in which there were lesbian women, and so it was just a deep learning experience.